Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and I'd say that it's been a very interesting time for the Xbox brand. I mean, rumors absolutely blew up online over the weekend to the point that most of the internet seemed to be convinced, and I mean 100% convinced, that Microsoft was done with Xbox hardware and that they've now canceled their next generation Xbox. Now, right away, I will say that rumor has already been debunked. That is important for me to point that out. But I still feel like there's a lot more to this story than just a simple leak proven wrong. And I'd also say that this is still very concerning. So stick around and we're going to get into all of that, plus plenty more. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go get right into things, though, starting off with Red Dead Redemption 2. In my opinion, Red Dead Redemption 2 is absolutely one of the best games from last generation, and I think it's a true masterpiece. Its biggest problem, though, is that it's still, unfortunately, locked to 30 frames per second, and kind of similar to the Bloodborne situation. In my opinion, it's just far too good of a game to leave at 30 frames per second. Well, how about that? The good news here is that sometime soon that might no longer be the case, or at least according to Nate the Hate. Now, personally, I think Nate has more than proven himself as a legitimate insider. I mean, he's gotten a lot of things correct these past few years, and even though I would still take this information with a grain of salt, just like any other leak, I however, will say that I do take his leaks a little bit more serious than from some other sources, considering how much he's actually gotten correct. And over on Twitter, he recently responded to somebody asking him about a Generation 9 Red Dead 2 update, and he simply responded, "Yes, they exist. I have no update on timing for release." So, there you go. Our hopes for an eventual 60 frames per second Red Dead 2 can live on just a bit longer, and who knows, maybe even a Switch 2 version, which that would be awesome, but hopefully this information proves correct in the grand scheme of things. Now, we also got a big expansion reveal for Assassin's Creed Mirage. Yeah, during an anniversary stream, they revealed a new single-player expansion titled Valley of Memory, and this will resume Basim's story with roughly 6 hours of new content, including a brand new map as well. So, I mean, this is a pretty beefy update, all things considered, and if that wasn't already surprising enough, I mean, just wait, because check this out. It's also free. Yeah, free is good, and it'll be available to play starting on November 18th, and if all of this comes as a surprise, there is actually a reason for that. Ubisoft did admit that they were initially done with Assassin's Creed Mirage after it released back in 2023, but Savvy Games, which is actually a part of PIF, the same Saudi Arabia group who just acquired EA, well, apparently they approached Ubisoft about a collaboration, and that's actually how this expansion came to be. The way I kind of view that, though, is that Valley of Memory will have a different tone than the original release, just because it does come from a different developer. So there might be some differences, but we'll see how all this shapes up when it releases next month. But if you really enjoyed Mirage, and if you want more story from Basim, well, then here you go. Oh, and it appears that the Silent Hill 2 remake might soon get an announcement for the Nintendo Switch 2 as well as for Xbox. Of course, PlayStation locked it down with a one-year timed exclusive deal last year, but that contract should end on October 8th, and even more so is that it's been spotted that on the Silent Hill 2 remake page on the Bloober Team website that it recently got changed to include 2 more mysterious platforms. Now, this isn't necessarily a confirmation, but I will say the timing of this is very interesting given that, again, Sony's contract with Konami should end on October 8th. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have a Switch 2 and Xbox version ready for October 8th. It doesn't mean it's going to release that said day, but theoretically, they should be free to do whatever they want with the IP after that point. And Konami definitely seems to be a company that's on board with multi-platform games. I mean, outside of Silent Hill 2 Remake, they've done a pretty good job by releasing their bigger games like Silent Hill F and Metal Gear Solid Delta on multiple platforms. So if I were to make a prediction, I would say that it's really more of a matter of when than if Silent Hill 2 will eventually make its way to other platforms. All right, now let's just go and talk about this Xbox debacle, because it really has been a crazy week for Microsoft, and most importantly for the Xbox brand. I mean, this all started with the announcement that Xbox Game Pass is raising in price, and quite significantly at that. So gamers are extremely mad about this, and I think rightfully so. I do not agree with the new price. I've already said that a few times. I won't get into that again on this video. But the thing is that every single day after that was announced, the backlash has gotten louder and louder and louder, to the point that there was an eruption of concern that just masked the entire Xbox brand. And that reached its peak over the weekend when an alleged insider on NeoGAF by the name of Sneakers claimed that the ramifications of the Call of Duty Game Pass gambit not working out were just starting to get properly measured. But the thing that really stuck out to me was that suddenly, really concrete plans for actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definitive to up in the air, which was really startling given that this thing was meant to be out relatively soon. And when this first started making the rounds on Twitter, there was still skepticism about the authenticity of this alleged insider, until apparently Tom Warren from The Verge went on Xbox Era and said that this person was in fact legitimate. Now, I don't really know how Tom would know that information. I don't know if he was just basing it off of prior leaks or where this was coming from, but at the end of the day, Tom Warren is a pretty respected source within the game industry. So when he basically vouched for this Sneakers person, well, really, this was the final straw that broke the internet. From that point forward, the internet became convinced, and I mean 100% convinced, that Xbox is pretty much done with hardware. Now, Jez, he came to the rescue here, because afterwards he did confirm from his own sources, which he said are very reliable, that none of this was actually true, or at least as of this time. And then eventually, Xbox also came out with their own statement, and this here is the most definitive statement, so let's just kind of read what they said. Microsoft came out and said, "We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD." And that right there is the key to all of this. If there was any reason at all to doubt all of the rumors that were swirling over the weekend, it would be because Microsoft has already made a very public announcement that they are working with AMD on future Xbox consoles and hardware. So they already have a contract with AMD. And it's a little doubtful that Microsoft would want to cancel that contract, not only because it would cost them a ton of money, but also because it could potentially damage their relationship with AMD. And I'm sure Microsoft doesn't want to do that. Now, with all of that said, Microsoft is still the type of company that isn't necessarily afraid of canceling big products. We have seen them do that on multiple occasions in the past. And this here is where my opinion starts to come in. If there was anything truly concerning about everything that went down these past few days, it's not this fake leak per se. It's that gamers clearly do not trust Microsoft. And I mean, can you blame anybody for feeling that way? I mean, I keep saying it, but we're no longer talking about Phil Spencer and the Xbox team anymore. There is a reason that Phil Spencer has done complete 180s post Activision Blizzard. It's quite simply because he's no longer running the ship. It's no longer Xbox Gaming. It is Microsoft Gaming. They are running the show now because they spent $70 billion on Activision Blizzard and they want a return on investment. I mean, just listen to this clip from Phil Spencer right after they acquired Bethesda.
If we're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. And that's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building, and the creative capability we will be able to bring to market for our Xbox customers. It's going to be the best it's ever been for Xbox after we're done here.
Yeah, listening to that, he clearly viewed Bethesda as a way to deliver exclusive games for the Xbox brand, but that didn't happen. And I don't think it's because Phil purposely lied. Rather, I think at the time, he truly believed what he said. But as time continued on, Microsoft simply said no. And then Phil had to go back out there and twist a story to fit a brand new narrative that Microsoft wanted to sell. And this is where some of the trust issues comes from for fans. If you look at these past 18 months, Xbox has rapidly shifted to a more multi-platform approach, which a lot of people, including myself, does not like. I am a firm believer in competition breeds excellence. I've said that 100 times on this channel, and I'll say it 100 more times. So I don't like this new kumbaya persona that they try to portray. I want to see Xbox and Sony compete, like truly compete and push each other to be better. I think that's the best thing for their companies, and I think that's more importantly the best thing for fans in the long term. Now, with this more multi-platform approach, more people can play all of these games, but will they be better for it? I think that's questionable, so that's just my opinion. But what makes this specific decision worse is that they've since raised the price for their consoles multiple times. The Xbox Series X is now the most expensive base console on the market. So for new customers looking to get a brand new console, well, the Series X just isn't an attractive option. You can play pretty much everything that's on that console on a different console at a cheaper price. And plus, you can possibly play Xbox games as well, unless you want something like Game Pass, which that was their one last selling point for their consoles, which now has also gone up in price to the point that it's no longer attractive for a lot of consumers. So what kind of message does this really send to gamers? I mean, basically, Microsoft, the company, has put their Xbox hardware in a terrible, terrible position. And that's why all of the rumors this past weekend were believable. There right now is legitimately some trust issues between Microsoft and gamers, and it's because Microsoft, the company, is completely out of touch when it comes to the gaming market. Now, maybe Xbox, because I know the Xbox team is still working hard on this new console. Maybe they can revitalize the brand with this new PC console approach that also has, Steam on the platform. But without a doubt, Microsoft is putting their hardware in a very tough position to sell. And that's why there is so much concern about their future plans. It does not seem like Microsoft believes in their hardware. It doesn't seem like they want to sell their hardware. And what does that tell their fans? So I don't think that a lot of the emotions that we saw these past few days is simply because of a fake leak. Yes, that was the ignition, but I also don't think it's necessarily the cause. The cause is completely 100% on Microsoft because actions speak louder than words, and their actions have gone directly against their hardware post-Activision Blizzard. Let me know what you all think about all this, though. Do you think that I'm wrong? Do you think that I'm exaggerating? Or do you agree? Is Microsoft a problem for their hardware business? Let me hear it in the comments below. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.